So this is the full spectrum of all the architectures together. Okay. So if you see here, I would say the core idea on the side on this slide is defining the target architectures and roadmap. Okay, so this diagram is called one of the it's basically called the mental models. So it's not meta model. Don't confuse. There's something called meta model which we'll be covering later. But this is called a mental model for the whole course. So let's spend some real time on it. So what you're now looking at is the full spectrum of all the architecture layers. Okay, stacked from the most strategic at the top and to the most physical at the bottom. Okay, the strategic objective. See, as I was telling, the enterprise architect role is a very strategic role. You have to define your organization strategies. And how can you do that? You need to have some parameters. You need to have some inputs with which you can actually make these strategic decisions. Okay. So right at the top, if you see that strategic objectives, which basically says the why or what the organization is trying to achieve. Get this point very well in your mind, because this is going to be the base of your next development once you start the working on the instances. Okay. So the strategic objectives, as I said, it's the why or the what of the organization is trying to achieve. Okay. Because every organization must have an objective, that why is it existing? Why is it created? Okay. Now everything below that, below the strategic objective, as you see, they are existing because to serve this objective. Okay, so suppose an organization has, say, for example, a medicine company. Okay, so its objective is to produce, medicine for cancer or medicine for, cheap medicines for the general people. That's the objective. And anything below these layers, as you see, business capabilities, business processes, functional capabilities, etc., they are there in this list just to serve this business, this strategic objective. Okay. So just beneath this strategic objective, we have the business capabilities. Business capabilities indicates the things the business is able to do. What are the things the business is able to do? Like manage customer relationships or fulfill some orders. Okay. So this is the capability of a business, like what is the business able to do, as I said. So inculcate this into mind very deeply, because there is a difference between business capability and the business processes. Okay. The business capabilities, it is like, what is it capable to do, what is it able to do, and business processes is the actual flow that deliver those capabilities. Okay. So business process is the actual flow, how you deliver these capabilities, which you just defined above. So these top three are the business architecture layer. You remember when we were discussing in this slide that, business architecture. So this is the business architecture here. So you have something called functional capabilities. So if you see the change in the color of this layer, if I just reduce this a bit. So this is business architecture. Here comes the IT architecture. From functional capabilities, the IT architecture starts. So functional capabilities, then we have architecture and information. So these basically, these are your applications and your logical data that they manage. I believe, anyways, you guys know about application and information, what exactly it is. And below that, we have the software components, which are basically the building blocks by which the applications are made. You guys are all software engineers, so you know what software component is and how is it related to an application. Okay. Now, so then comes the integration platforms. Integration platform is basically you can say, imagine something like the middleware or the interfaces that connect everything. Okay. Because even if you have software components or applications, if they're distributed, that doesn't make sense, right? They have to be integrated. They have to working together in tandem to secure that objective that you have already defined, the strategic objective, right? So these integration platforms are primarily the middleware, you can say, or the interfaces which is being used. And then comes the data layer, the physical data layer. Basically, the data exists. And finally, at the very bottom, I think we have another one, which is the infrastructure and cloud. Okay. So data layer, I believe you guys all know, the layer where we have the actual data. And infrastructure and cloud, as I think it is also self-explanatory, that it consists of the servers, networks, cloud platforms, ultimately everything where, it is a place where ultimately everything runs, the cloud or, the infrastructure that is being used. So I commonly see one question which people normally get it very wrong. That is, enterprise architecture, is it same as IT architecture? No. IT architecture is basically a subset of enterprise architecture. If you see all these things, because I'm very sorry that this picture is a bit big in this thing. If you see here, the entire thing on the left-hand side, if you see, it is enterprise architecture. Okay. Now, I think I can present now because I think you already got the thing. So I'll take a pointer. So enterprise architecture is the entire, sorry, take a highlighter. Yeah. So it's the entire thing is enterprise architecture. Okay. As you can see, all these layers. And IT architecture is everything except the business processes and business capabilities. Because I'm very sure you guys know the difference between business and IT. After you have so many years of experience, so you understand that IT and business, they work together, but they are separate things. Yeah, separate domains or areas. Yeah. So enterprise architecture is not same as IT architecture. And within IT architecture, you have something called technology architecture, which are your software components, integration platforms, data, and infrastructure. However, your applications and functional capabilities are not a part of your technology architecture. Application is a part of your application architecture. Okay. If you have any questions.
I have one question.
Sure, please.
What's the difference between process and functional capabilities?
Business process and functional capabilities.
The business process, I'm aware, but what is functional capabilities?
Functional capabilities. Yeah, I can probably give an example. Functional capabilities is, you can imagine that your applications are logically managing some data. Okay, because you have the data layer below. Your functional your applications, they have some logical, your applications, they have some logical data management, because they're churning the data in such a way that they're producing some output. Okay, so you can say, if you have a proper functional setup, that if you want to make your application look like or perform like the way you want, to achieve a particular function. Okay, so you can use application for your front end, retrieving data or something. You can also use a function application for passing it via an API also. It depends on the need, how you want to use that application. Okay, so this, I think it is better that when I show you in the screen, you will have this clarity. When I show you in the front end, you'll have this clarity that why are we. So once you see the screen, you will understand probably how you set up and why you set up a functional capability on top of application. I will show you that.
Okay,
just park this question for now.
Sure.
It will be easy for me to show you on the screen rather than telling you in theory. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Just note this in your notepad. We'll come back on that. But it is, you can imagine something like at a very high level, that how you want to use your application. That is the capability. Okay. Now comes the the next slide, which is the purpose of EA. Okay. So why should we have EA? Okay. Why do we have EA? So you can just quickly have a look. Okay, so EA provides a structured framework for business and IT alignment. It offers a comprehensive view of all the organization's processes, systems, and IT assets. Okay. It defines the target architecture to support some business goals. It creates key deliverables such as capability maps, inventories, roadmaps, and standards. It also promotes standardization across teams and departments. I will come to all of these points one by one, but let me just first take you through. Improves collaboration and alignment between the business and the technology stakeholders. It guides the technology decisions based on organizational requirement and supports long-term planning and initiatives. Okay. So I think most of these are actually, you guys must have encountered some part of your IT journey, right? So, but again, let's define enterprise architecture as we see it from a full spectrum. Okay. So let's get sharp about its purpose. Why is it actually for? That's what this slide is, purpose. So these are the 8 points that it gives. And the first cluster is about clarity and alignment. Okay. So you can take it in this way, that EA provides, the enterprise architecture provides a structured framework for business and IT alignment. So the word structured is doing the work. It means a repeatable, consistent way of connecting the two, not an ad hoc connection. Okay, so business and IT, as I was just telling you in the previous slide, this business and IT are separate, but they work together in tandem, but they are separate. So when you integrate these two, it is not a one-time integration or one-time relationship that you establish between business and IT. Okay, you obviously have a structured framework, which means a consistent way of connecting the two, or a repeatable way of connecting the two. Now, the second point, which is offering a comprehensive view. Okay, so it actually provides a holistic view of all the IT assets, your processes, your systems. So when I say holistic view, means in one single screen or one single place, you will have this complete overview. Okay, so you have something called fact sheets, which I will show you. Once you create a fact sheet, you can basically see a complete view of the entire application. What are the dependencies, what are the upstream, downstream applications, what are the IT components related to, what are the capabilities for that application. So everything, all these processes, systems, you can actually see it in a single view. Okay, so yeah, so now the defining the target architecture. So I think this is also self-explanatory, that you have a current architecture, you have a current system operating model. Okay, now your company wants to move into a, so if you remember, I was giving an example that if your company wants to become an IT focused company or an IT native company, it is not their target, it is not their current architecture, it is their target architecture. Current architecture is a way of working that they are doing in a consulting model right now, but they want to be a pioneer in the IT or in the AI space. So that's their target architecture. So along with the target architecture, there is something tied, is called business goals. So what is the business goal? I mean, simply, if I want to become an AI native company or AI focused company, what is the use? There has to be a purpose, there has to be a goal. So you need to define that goal. Okay, so EA is the one who is responsible for doing these things. Okay, that is why you need an EA4. Okay, now if you have to create a target architecture, you cannot simply say that I am okay. So if you have to create a target architecture of an AI focused company, okay, say your company TCS for that matter, or Infosys, Tech Mahindra, any company for that matter, if they to say that we want to become IT focused or IT native company, they simply cannot become from, okay, they have to have a process, they have to have some some artifacts or some process or some framework or some structures developed to achieve that. Okay. So, but at a granular level, how do you do that? What are the things that you need? So you need to have some deliverables, like, the capability maps. You need to have proper inventories. You need to have a roadmap and maintain some standards. Okay. That is very important. Without a proper roadmap or a proper inventory, or your capability maps also for that matter, because you say that you want to become a AI managed, AI focused company, but you have observed that your resources do not have that capability because they were never exposed to that kind of environment. You might be doing SAP, somebody, there will be big accounts for SAP, there will be big accounts for Oracle, Unix, and other technical things. However, AI is relatively new, and none of your resources were given training or exposed to AI in any form officially by the company. Okay. So the capability at this time does not exist. So that map has to be there to know where your resources are lying, where the gap is, and how that gap is going to be filled. That is called a capability map, right? So inventories, as you know, that inventory is basically the collection of all capabilities, your artifacts, your the things that you actually need to build the capability, the knowledge base, etc., and roadmaps and standards. Okay, so that's a fourth point. So I'll stop here for the first 4 points. Let me know any questions that you have till now, because this is very important. Okay, is it clear for all? Okay, yeah. So now fifth point is promote standardization. Okay, this is very important. Standardization is the process by which you regularize or make a particular standard for a particular capability. Because if you do not have standards, okay, so just try to imagine everybody, I mean, every a product that you sell in the Indian market needs to have a standard. You have something called ISO marking, right? I hope you know that. For if you go and purchase gold from a jewelry shop, you get a hallmark, which is a standard, right? BIS hallmark standard, which indicates that this is a standard purity of, say, 24 carats or 22 carats or 18 carats, whatever, whatever carats, whatever standards you have. So earlier, what used to happen is, like, say, maybe 30, 40 years back, when this hallmarking system was not there, people were selling gold, maybe 13 or 14 carats gold by saying that it's a 24 carat gold, and there was no mechanism to measure it. Now they have their X-ray scans and all, and they do a purity test, and then give that standard. So that what has benefited, I mean, how we have been benefited from this standardization is that now that we know that, okay, so for 18 carats of gold this is the price, and for 24 carats this is the price. We should not be paying price of 24 carats to buy 18 carats of gold, which probably our parents and grandparents were doing it earlier. Okay, so that's the benefit of standardization. It's a very, I would say, important step. So unless you standardize a particular product or a capability, then you will define these things in your screen anyways. All this whatever I'm talking, that time it will be it will be giving you a better clarity. However, just understand that standardizing some processes with the market standards. It's not that you set up a standard saying that this is my standard. No, it has to be an agreed market standard. Okay. Now the sixth point is the improving the collaboration and alignment between the business and technology stakeholders. This is a way of communication and collaboration. So because if you have to collaborate and communicate, you need to have the data in hand. There has to be a common place how you interact with between the two teams, business and the technology teams. Okay, so how do you go ahead and do this collaboration? There are surveys, there are communication that are sent. You can see it all this in the fact sheet. So what I'll do is I will probably, maybe after half an hour or so, I'll show you a fact sheet. Okay, so I'll show you how to create a fact sheet. You don't have to create it right now because probably you don't have an access right now, but I'll show you. Once you create a fact sheet, you will get all these points in the fact sheet. I'll show you that. Okay. Now, another important job of an enterprise architect, or the purpose of having an enterprise architect, is to guide through technology decisions based on organizational requirement. So now, as I was coming to the same example, becoming an AI native company, your organization has some, requirement. That is, it has to become a AI native company. But what are the technology decisions that you should be taking? What are the servers? How many servers you will be buying? What will be the team structure? What will be the focus? What will be the training plan for your resources to get trained in those kind of technology that will support your vision? So all these things, these technology related decisions, are to be given by the EA. Okay. And obviously go for the eighth point, which is the supporting the long-term planning. Okay, it's not a short term that you train few resources, get thing, and then you train resources, get your work done, and then simply do nothing. Okay, so it's not like that. You have to have a long-term planning. You have to know that whatever you are doing, it is in alignment with your long-term plan. Okay, so just to give a small example, that you are planning to appear for an IIT exam. Okay, so you start studying from 9, 10, 11, 12. These days, the coaching centers give, like Akash and other, centers, they start giving tuitions from class 8 or 9 itself. Yeah. So your long-term plan is to get into the IIT and move to the US. Okay, but how you have to do that? You cannot simply 1 month before the IIT exam you study and get into IIT. It's not like that. There is a structured process that you have to follow, and whatever process you are following, it should also be supportive. It's not like that, you study for the entire night one day and go and write the exam, and you do carry on this thing for the next 4 years to reach the IIT, to top the IIT. It is not a structurally feasible plan, because your health will deteriorate and you'll eventually, your body won't support that. So it has to support some long-term planning, whatever planning you are doing. Okay, so same for IT also. If you're trying to achieve your AI focused objective, you have to have a plan in mind, saying that we are giving trainings, or we are having this infrastructure and we are investing so much. You have to have a plan that you have to keep on investing and keep on changing your things as well, because things are so dynamic. You cannot invest, say, $5 million on infrastructure and say that this will last for 5 years. No. If you spend it now, you have to be aware that you should be spending more in the coming years also, because technology is changing, your requirement will also change, and it has to support your long-term plan. So you have to do a proper long-term planning. I think most of you are into do some kind of project management and technology management as well. So this would probably align with them better, that how you do a long-term planning. Okay, and when I say long-term, it's not a 3 to 4 months. What we see as a ES spectrum is 2 to 3 years at least, probably 5 years down the line. So we call there is a term called LTP, long-term planning, what we call it. Okay, so now let me stop here, and let's see what the next slide is. Okay, I think this is also important. Then I'll probably show you the fact sheet once. Okay, yeah. So the core value proposition of an EA. Okay, I think we had a short discussion on this before, if you remember: application portfolio management, technology risk and compliance, and architecture and roadmap planning. So the same thing is here. So these are the 3 core value propositions for an EA. That is APM, what we call it, application. So remember this term APM. Okay, APM is the industry-wide known term for application portfolio management. It is a service, or it is the key responsibility of an EA that APM is associated with. APM can be done by a variety of tools. LeanIX is one of them. You can use ServiceNow APM also. You can use BizDesign. You can use Mega. You can use Orbus iServer. You can use Spark CA systems. So I was fortunate enough to work in all of these for a long time when I was abroad. But most of my time I've spent in LeanIX. And I would say comparatively LeanIX is far better than all the others. So So application portfolio management, a quick recap, that understanding and rationalizing the application landscape, including redundancy, functional technical fit, and business criticality. So functional and technical fit, I will come to that how you determine what is functionally fit, what is technically fit. Okay. So yeah, so I think do you guys have any idea that how do you, okay, just tell me, probably I'll anyways teach you, but what is functionally fit according to you? Can you just, maybe somebody can volunteer and tell, like, what do you mean by functional fit?
Yeah, whether your application supports a specific process.
Oh, what is that, functional or technical?
Functional.
Functional fit. Okay, and what is technically fit?
Technically fit. Okay.
No, it's okay. I mean, and
Yeah.
just one, if you can just make a guess
No.
from your, your interview, like your work experience.
Maybe the version of the app or application, or yeah, so something like that, which specific to the technical setup of the application, maybe. But typically, functional fit would be like, for example, you have an order fulfillment, right? So would you consider an SAP application, or you want to go with another ERP? So I think so typically you would say I have order fulfillment, and my orders flow from an e-commerce portal and gets loaded into an ERP system. So functionally fit, you would see if SAP can, or any other product can, which product can support this process the best. Technically fit would be you would do an analysis of your environment which you already have, whether this application can work on that technical environment which you have. Just
close. Yeah. It is yeah, it is partially right. I mean, there's no, so it is the way how you perceive this thing. So basically I would say there could be multiple applications that do a same job. Okay, think in this way. As I said, I'll anyways define functional technical fit later also, but just to make sure that you understand in the right direction, I'm telling you this now. So suppose multiple application does the same job. Now functional fit is something when it asks that how well does this application meet the business need it is supposed to serve, whether it is done well, adequately, or poor. Okay, so imagine a same job. Let's take an example, like order fulfillment, you said. Okay, so there are multiple applications that can do the same job. Okay, probably not in the same application, but multiple applications doing the same job. So now it is a judgment that you have to decide that how well this application meets the business need. Okay, and which is the best, which is fit, which is not fit, how well it is done, is it done adequately, or it is done poorly. But technical fit asks a different question, that how healthy is the application technically? Is it modern? Is it well supported? Or is it aging? Is it fragile? Is it very costly or expensive to keep it alive? Right? So this is the technical fit. Okay. So business criticality is the second point, as you see here. Business criticality is how much the business actually depends on this. Would a catastrophic failure completely bring down the business? How frequently do you see a catastrophic failure? Is it very frequently happening, or it is not happening? Is it barely getting noticed? So these are the things that you need to understand. Okay, but trust me, you will get everything clarified once you in this course while we progress, because these are the essential things, and these will be used very much regularly in your work when you do it hands-on. Okay, so technology risk and compliance, the visualizing the technology stacks, end of life risk, data flows to support security and regulatory compliance. So I think compliance, as I was saying, it is a very underrated, or like security compliance or regulatory compliance. This is a very underrated aspect of almost every IT spectrum. We do not understand how much important governance is and compliance is. So you have to ensure that the compliance is met, and you have to ensure that the governance is properly done. So an EA is also responsible for that. So if you see all this time now, since what we have been talking, EA has a very heavy and a hefty workload. It has to encompass a huge variety of things under his umbrella, and he has to manage all these things all alone. That is why the EA is considered to be one of the key roles in an organization. You do not have multiple EAs usually. You have domain architects, multiple domain architects, but generally you have one EA, if not at least a couple of maybe 2 to 3 EAs, probably if the application portfolio size is very big. And that's why EAs are the highest paid technical, or rather I would say non-managerial positions in the company. Okay. Because they actually go through all these things. They have complete control of all these things, all in the entire spectrum I'm talking about. And they have so since they have such a big job to do, they cannot do it alone. That is where SAP LeanIX steps in, because they use this tool so basically they have complete control of this tool. They know what is to be done, where is it, how can I see things at which place, and how can I use them for my work. Okay, so yeah, architecture and roadmap planning is the third proposition, which is the designing the target architecture, as I was saying, and roadmaps, and tracking them against the KPIs. KPI, I believe you all already know, the key performance indicators which indicates that whether you have met or not met the standards, quality, SLAs, and other things. Okay, so I think we are clear till now. Any questions before I proceed? Any questions on the technology risk and compliance, guys? Because that is also important. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide. Business outcomes and return of investment. So the independent analysis and SAP LeanIX customers cases, they highlight tangible financial value. So high ROI and fast payback. So this basically gives you some facts and figures about how using LeanIX has improved customers benefit, basically benefited the customer and benefited the EA in help the customer to reduce their budgets, and so this is just a slide to give you numeric representation. But trust me, once you start doing this, you'll realize yourself that how important it is to have a EA setup, and how important it is to have a proper tool established for the EA. What kind of savings, productivity you can actually gain out of it. Okay, so I will come to this anyways. These are the benefits anyways you'll realize while we start working. Okay, so 7 use cases that are solved with enterprise architecture. This is a very common, I would say, general benefits of having enterprise architecture. While I say that, apart from these 7 cases that you see, use cases that you see here, there are far more better advantages in having an EA and using LeanIX. However, these are the most typically highlighted cases for any enterprise architecture tool or enterprise architecture role that they are responsible for. Okay, first one is application rationalization. Okay, rationalization, as the word indicates, that it optimizes the application portfolio by eliminating redundancy and reducing cost. Okay, so while I talk here, I will anyways take you through how to do the application rationalization. Can you tell me how? Okay, tell me what are the ways you what are the ways or on basis on what parameters you eliminate an application? Can you tell me some criteria that you don't want to use this application? What could be the possible reasons?
If you have another application within your landscape doing the same thing, then you would want to
redundant application. Yeah. Yes, very good, very good. What could be the next one?
The usability has reduced.
Sorry.
Yeah, one by one, no problem. Tell me.
A number of users using the application and when it was used last. So that also shows that whether it's really useful or it was
Very
just a
good.
one-off
Very
issue.
good. Very good. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Redundancy and frequency of usage. Fine. Yes. What is the next way?
High cost maybe of that particular application.
Absolutely. That is the paramount, is the first priority. I mean, regardless of application, your application is the best in the world. If it is expensive, it is the most expensive one, not many people can afford. Very good. Yeah. 3. Any other
support not available on the application
Very
technology
good.
fronts.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. You buy a very cheap and a capable application, but you do not get support for it. What if it goes down? Okay. Very good. Yes. Good that you're thinking. Yes, please. And any other that there should be two to three more.
Ease of use.
Ease of use as in difficulty to use, you mean, right? Basically.
No, like how the application is connected to upstream and downstream system and external system. I mean, how this has been connected, how easily it can connect to the other applications.
Okay, in that way. Okay, easy. Okay, yeah, easy integration, you mean? Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, fine.
You can also check if the application meets your standards which you defined, right? Whether it meets
Very good. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Suppose your application is the best in the world, but you do not have a setup such that your application is compatible with your, IT ecosystem. It is not matching your standards. What will you do? Very good. Yeah. What else? Just think over. You have covered most of it. There are 1 or 2 remaining.
If it is non-beneficial to the customer.
Sorry, what is that?
If it is non-beneficial to the customer, client.
Yeah, non-beneficial is a relative term. I mean, how do you define non-beneficial? You are driving the customer, right? I mean, you are guiding the customer to go for this system. So customer should not take decision. Always remember, guys, in your I believe you're already doing that because you guys are senior. So never let the customer dominate your technology decisions, because if that happens, that becomes a problem. Okay. So customer should not drive this. You are the IT expert. That's why the customer has hired you. It should be your decision. How do you want to? Yes, customer can definitely say that, okay, you come with 5 applications and say that all these 5 are good. These are just capabilities. These are just, costing and other things. They can take a decision of selecting one, but they cannot, drive that. Okay. So any other point in mind that how
whether it fits your future roadmap, whether you want to go digital first and AI native organization, whether this application fits in your roadmap.
Exactly. That is what I was looking for, because your application might have satisfied every single thing, but it is not AI native. You cannot, it is such a big monolith that you cannot disintegrate into several, smaller units or microservices. It is not cloud native. It does not support your LTP, long-term planning. Okay. This is a very important, decision, that why you eliminate some application. Okay. So very good that you guys have got the the
one more parameter which we can think of is if we upgrade the existing systems and the compatibility become the issue of the application which we are using. If it is not compatible with the upgraded version, then we have to rationalize that as well.
Yeah, I think somebody said very similar terms. I think, yeah, that's also a point. Good point. I mean, it is said that it is not probably compatible with your IT ecosystem. But yeah, I mean, it can also happen that it is now compatible, but you upgrade, you go for a modernization. Once you do that, it is probably not meeting your, standards and expectation. Good. Yeah, that is also one of the points. Yes, you can say that. Yes, of course. Yes. Okay. So now application rationalization, basically, it is optimizing the application's portfolio by eliminating the redundancy and reducing the cost. This is the primary objective of this. Okay. I would say this is one of the single most common starting point for the LeanIX program, and for a good reason. It produces fast, visible financial wins. Okay. You can find duplicate tools in the market. You can build a business case to consolidate, but when you do the APR, basically we call it, application portfolio rationalization, everything comes into the plate and you get to know what is needed, what is not. Okay. So yeah, good. Obsolescence risk management. This is very important here. I would say second most, actually it's in the order, basically, second most important. So any idea that what could be the challenges if your application is getting desupported? Give me 3 reasons, that's it. Why you want to make your application obsolete? Can you give me 3 reasons why you can take a decision to make your application obsolete? Am I audible?
Yes.
And
Yes.
end of life.
End of life, very good.
High risk.
Can you define risk?
As it is written older version, so it is not compatible with the new version of the other systems.
Yes. So basically, backward compatibility, good. There is one very important point. Just try to think.
Maybe new technology has introduced, which has become that obsolete.
Yes, that is the reason why we are making it obsolete. But there is one key aspect. Just try to think over for another 30 seconds.
It doesn't support upgrades, right?
Yes, but if it does not support upgrades, what would it lead to?
I think application may become obsolete if business decided to change the process.
Business data will become vulnerable, maybe.
Exactly. Vulnerability. Basically, it exposes a threat, I mean, somebody just said that, upgrades are not possible. You're getting very close, as I said. So basically, once you're not, able to upgrade or, introduce the patches to the application, what happens is the security patches do not get applied and the application becomes more vulnerable. So once your application becomes vulnerable, there are people who can, get into your system with a malware, with DDoS or a DOS attack or anything. They can basically do an attack on your system and get into your system. Okay. So that is a key aspect why you want to have obsolescence risk management. Okay. Now, application modernization. I think obsolescence risk management is clear for you guys, right? You now know that at least why do you need that. Application modernization. Let's come to this. So, any three reasons why you do a modernization?
Be future ready.
Be future ready. Yes, you're right. Yeah, which is supporting your long-term plan. Yes, correct. Any other reasons why you modernize your application? Because see, being future ready is one, but modernization will come at a cost. It won't be free. So you are investing something. Okay. See, the reason why I'm asking you these questions is this is actually how an enterprise architect will think. So I want you to think in that manner. Okay. Because once you are able to think and answer this, that is when you will actually, think like an enterprise architect. Okay. So becoming compatible with the future tools or technologies is one, which is fine, but that will come at a cost. So what is the benefit, if I say, or rather, why should I go for a application modernization? I mean, companies do not have an unlimited budget. Okay. But I just need two key reasons why you want to go for a, application modernization.
See, some organizations want to market themselves as digital first, and that's also, they want to create an impact by saying that. I mean, it comes with your own business value rationalization, but
Got it.
some organization want to be digital first. They want to announce themselves. Yeah.
Yes. Good. You guys are going in the absolute right direction, but there is one key aspect that all these things will lead to. So if
ROI?
you see, you're right, but how do you define ROI here? Because see, I tell you, I just said that when you are upgrading something, you are getting, you have to pay for that. You're doing a payment for that, right? You're not doing it for free. So if you are investing more, isn't that your ROI will get decreased? Or
No, so that is what. See, when I meant ROI, I meant that if you're investing, if you're planning to modernize your application, the benefit of getting into modernization should give you more returns than whatever that you're investing.
Yes,
Okay,
on a long term.
Yes,
On a long term
basis.
Yes, absolutely. So you just see, once you once you focus your thoughts like this, that I might be charged some cost to do a modernization. However, in my long-term planning, it will sit at a place where it will save me a lot of cost. That is why you modernize, right? So suppose you have a phone, you have a mobile phone. Okay, these days people do not use their mobile phones for more than 2 years, right? 1 or 2 years max. They upgrade it, they exchange it with a different phone, or they sell it, but they definitely go for an upgrade. But do you really think that your phone will stop working after 2 years? It won't take calls, you won't be able to browse internet? No, it's not like that. Okay, there is an aspect that there are people who want to show off, to their colleagues that they have got a latest version of a, Apple or Android phone. That is different. That's a different approach. But in terms of need, genuinely there are people who actually upgrade phones every 2 years or 1 year for a need. Why? Reason is he wants himself to, he has a long-term plan, and that will your next phone upgrade is aligned to that. He needs faster internet, better RAM, better memory, better storage, better screen resolution, so that he can study, he can do some things. You can actually create a project there. Your phone is so much capable, it is as capable as your laptop. And these days phones are having RAMs which are very close to your laptops even. Okay, so you can actually do all these things. So if you invest in that manner, that is a worthy investment. Okay, then your ROI will always be high. But if you buy a latest iPhone, say 17 Max Pro or whatever is the latest in the market, I don't know, but whatever is the latest phone you buy there, but you just use it for your calls and maybe your photos. That's it. You do not do anything else. Is it a right use of that? No. So the ROI will get down. So this is how you think in this way also. As I just heard the point that ROI is a term. It depends how you use it. If it aligns with your future goals, then obviously investing now and getting benefits later is always a good thing. Okay, that's why we do a modernization. Good thinking. I think you guys are probably heading to the right place. So once you have these concepts clear, you will be easily able to build up the dashboards and take a decision based on that. Because see, end of the day, the reason why I wanted to cover this theory first is that if you do not understand these in this manner, dashboard say it is very easy to create a diagram and a chart and analytical visualization. But what will you do after doing that? You have to think in that direction, take a decision based on that. Right. So what will your dashboard will give you an application, whether it is technically fit or functionally fit. But it won't give you just like that. You have to set up the dashboard in such a way. You have to, behind the dashboard, there is a logic always, right? You have a logic based on which it is displayed. Dashboard is just for displaying, but there is a logic or a coding you are not coding, of course, but end of the day, backend, it is executing a code, right? So you are setting up, you're configuring the dashboard in such a way, this configuration itself invokes a code. So you're coding in such a way that it is showing you the way you want to see it. But if you do not know what you want to see, what will you do with the dashboard? That is why this is important. Okay. Now the fourth point is post-merger IT integration. Okay. So tell me, primary challenges that can happen after a post-merger. Post-merger is basically there is a M&A that is happening, there's a merger and acquisition that is happening with, basically not, there is a merger that is happening between two companies and their IT systems are getting integrated. So what could be the two key challenges here? Can you just think over and tell me?
One is the data.
You have to define data a bit.
Both will have their own databases, so it has to be synchronized and
very good
to support.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely, yes. Data standard, basically, yes, quality and standard. What next? What could be the other challenge?
Application compatibility. If they could have the same application, sometimes duplication, sometimes non-compatible.
Absolutely, yes.
Data formats and applications.
There are two basically what you just said. One is a duplication of applications, which means compatible applications, but they're duplicate.
Yes.
And second point is non-compatible applications, like, the parent company. Suppose, take an example, like, what was the recent mergers happened? Let me just think over. So many actually. But suppose, Facebook took over WhatsApp, right? Meta. So now, what if an application in WhatsApp is not compatible with the IT ecosystem of Facebook, right? So Meta, basically, it is not compatible. So very good point. I have 3 points. Any other
change management? You look at your user base, what they're used to, and the company are acquiring. You'll see the consumer base. The user base, right? How will it support change management if people are comfortable with a particular application and it is serving the job?
Yes.
Which user base do you move to? Which application? Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yes. Correct. Very true. Yes. Anything else that you can think of? I tell you, post-merger IT integration, it is all about accelerating the integration of IT landscapes and processes after a merger or acquisition. Okay. Just think about what actually happens in an acquisition. As somebody just said, suddenly you have two things of everything, almost 2 ERP systems, 2 CRMs, 2 email platforms, overlapping everything. So I would say very first question that, the leadership will ask you is that, as an EA, okay, by the way, I probably didn't tell you, as an EA, as an enterprise architect, you will be directly reporting to the leadership. Okay. Because once you become an EA, so EA is, as you just saw over all these slides, right? EA is technology independent because it encompasses technology architecture, IT architecture, application architecture, domain architecture, everything, right? Business architecture. So since you are above that, your reporting should not be to any particular project manager or a program manager or a senior project manager or whatever hierarchy is that. So your reporting would directly be, so when I say reporting, as in in system it could be different because various companies has many companies have a people manager concept, like we have a people manager concept. We report to one manager in the system who approves the leaves and expenses and other things. Okay, but in terms of work, we are directly reporting to a CXO levels. Okay, so as an enterprise architect, your leadership team, your CXO group, is your reporting manager in terms of work. Okay, you'll be directly reporting things to them. So it's not a small role, I would say. Okay, it's a very big role, and trust me, the sad part is not many companies actually give respect to this role. They still believe that a solution architect is an enterprise architect, and many companies do not even have this role because most of the companies work in a consulting model, and within their organization they have so many clients. They probably can project you as a enterprise architect to a client where you can get some work done. That is when you are very lucky. If you are not, you probably, not get a chance to work as an EA, proper EA. Okay. So now, again, it is an individual's decision what to be done that time. But I would tell you always, if you have your thinking right, think like an EA. Even it is not that a captive unit, which is not a consulting. Captive unit is an internal, IT team of say a manufacturing or non-IT company, basically non-consulting company. So if you get into that kind of a place, that will give you much more, wings, I would say, to work as an enterprise architect. However, in consulting companies, that role is very limited. But one of the good part of consulting companies is that you have a variety of clients. You have hundreds and thousands of clients. The position in the client side is fairly open, and you can be projected as an EA. You can visit their site, or you can work from anywhere, but it depends. But you can work as an EA with that client and take your decisions as an EA. You can actually do that. So that is also good because you have a multiple, I would say, your choices become multifold. However, normally when the SOW and other things are signed, people do not go for a EA role usually. They keep an architect's role, but that is more of a common architect, like it does business decisions, it does IT, technology, application, that everything. They do not account for an EA. Okay. So, but going forward, probably when you do your proposals next time, you have to have a EA role. That is, very much important. And I tell you, the billing rate of EAs are pretty much high. Maybe that could be one of the deterrents why people do not account them for, clients like proposals and all. But I would wish that, you guys, after this training, once you get to know the actual purpose and the role of an EA and the capabilities that he has, the tools that he uses, you can actually include that role in your proposals. And also one good thing is that once you know SAP LeanIX, knowing the other tools is not a difficult job because the concepts remains the same. So when you learn SAP LeanIX as a enterprise architecture management tool, it gives you the same knowledge in ServiceNow APM. It gives you the same knowledge in Biz Design, Orbis iServer. You go to Spark CS System, Mega, any other tool that you use. The concepts remain absolutely the same. All this application portfolio rationalization, risk management, roadmap, etc., modernization, everything remains the same. It probably could be the navigations are different. It will take maybe 2 to 3 days or max a week for you to get used to the interface and to know how it works. Okay. So when we were, working initially, there was something called Remedy. I don't know whether it is still there, BMC Remedy as a ITSM tool. But later on, ServiceNow captured the market. The process, the things are pretty much similar. So you use Jira for your regular work. There is something called Azure DevOps. I believe many of you have worked in. It works in a very similar manner. You can actually achieve that in Azure DevOps as well. So learning a tool for a technical guy like us, I mean all of us basically, it's not a problem. The only problem is to get the concepts right. If you have that right, you can use any tool for that matter. This training is dedicated for SAP LeanIX. I know you will master this tool again end of the course. But once you are confident in understanding the concepts behind, you can actually use any tool for that matter. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the point, but I was saying that suddenly
One more point I had. Whether your strategy is to go with best of suite or best of breed, tightly coupled versus loosely coupled, I think that also will drive that post-merge IT integration thing, right?
Yes. So leadership, as I was saying, the first question from the leadership team would be, as an EA, what do they have and what do we have? Where is the overlap? What we can eliminate, what we can keep? So these sort of questions will be asked to you as an EA. And this is how you have to answer. So how will you answer? You cannot answer just like that. You need to have the data in the systems, check it, test it, and then you have to give an answer. Okay. So how do you do that? That is how you use an enterprise architecture management tool. I'm very sure that if you're go on mute, guys. Yeah. So if your organization uses an enterprise architecture management tool, it might not happen that the merger, sorry, the basically once the acquisition is done, the next organization also uses the EAM tool. They might not be having that. There comes the biggest challenge as an EA. You have to set up the entire thing and then take a decision. Okay. Because without the actual inventory in hand, you cannot take a decision that what to keep, what not to keep, what to merge, what to, eliminate. So if both the organization have their landscape modeled in a tool like LeanIX, you can actually answer that in a few days instead of months. Okay. And the plan, and plan the consolidation rationally. You have to do a consolidation eventually, right? You can do it rationally. So post-merger integration is a feature that is being added in LeanIX, which you can actually use to get this. Suppose your other, the company that goes for acquisition and the company that gets merged that doesn't have a LeanIX, then you can use this post-merger integration feature and use it. Okay, so there are so many features in enterprise in SAP LeanIX. Okay, we will try to cover most of them, but I will tell you there are some features which are very good but very rarely used. Not very used very frequently. Probably I'll try to cover them as well as much as possible. But some of the things I think we have to focus on some of the common things which are most widely used, because that is where you will be actually using LeanIX for. The main, the cream of the use cases, or I would say. Okay, so now this merger and acquisition, it's one of the highest value scenarios for an enterprise architect, as I was saying, that it's precisely because of cost of getting the integration wrong is enormous. If you get an integration wrong, if your analysis is wrong, you end up paying duplicate money for redundant, you end up paying money for duplicate applications. You end up paying money for redundant applications, if you do not do it, do the consolidation rationally. Okay. And time pressure is also intense, so once you work as an EA, you will have an intense time pressure because your leadership will always be looking at you to do this. Fine. Let's move to sustainability, IT sustainability. Okay. So this is basically building the IT sustainable IT landscape that supports the long-term business and environmental goals. Okay. So there are two angles to it. One is sustainability in a traditional sense, and which basically is like keeping the landscape healthy, supportable, not drowning in technical debt over a long run. And the other is increasingly, which is like environmental, like green IT, what we talk about. As organizations these days face a real reporting requirement around carbon and energy, understanding your technology footprint and your data center and cloud, data consumptions, which becomes an architecture question. So LeanIX basically helps you to, in this case, which gives you the inventory to start measuring and managing it. Okay. So this is, I would say, underrated use case, not very frequently used, but very important in terms of the environment. This will cover, but again, I would say not as important as compared to the other four that we just discussed. Okay. Next one is important, which is ERP transformation. Because I would say executing ERP transformation with minimal risk and business disruption is the primary objective. And for SAP customers, this is overwhelmingly, it means that moving to S/4HANA. We all know that, we are actually, you guys are all SAP consultants, right? So, the modernization or the migration exercises that are happening for a move to S/4HANA. There are so many cases. Okay. I would say this is one of the flagship use case of SAP LeanIX, and there is no coincidence that SAP has acquired LeanIX for a reason. Okay, I think the merger happened in 2023. It did it for a reason. Okay, S/4HANA transformation is one of the largest and riskiest programs that a company undertakes, and you cannot, run it blindly. Do you agree with me on this point? I mean, did anybody undergo a S/4HANA migration in your career? Can you please tell me if you have done it? Yes, no?
Yeah, I've done it.
Okay. And how, if I may ask, what was the total time taken?
It was more than a transformation. It was a complete new setup. It was 18 months is what we took to set up the entire system, greenfield.
Yes, just imagine 18 months. Yeah. So these transformations, they generally go for 1.5 to 2 years usually, and it is one of, as I said, one of the most largest and riskiest program your company undertakes. So you cannot actually run it blind. You need to know exactly which applications integrate with your current ERP, what is the custom code, what are the interfaces that exist, what depends on what. That is the key thing. And I believe the data migration and other things were the key challenges that you guys had in that migration. I mean, among other challenges, of course.
Yes. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. So LeanIX here gives you a current state clarity so that the transformation can be planned on facts and not guesswork. Okay. So yeah, I think that is another use case of LeanIX. I think the seventh and the final use case what we have in this diagram, in this sheet, is that business capability mapping. Basically mapping and aligning the business capabilities to drive clarity, prioritization, and strategic decision making. Okay, so I want to, though it is listed in the last, it is arguably extremely strategic, I would say. So business capability map is that structured picture of everything that your business is able to do. See, the problem with organizations is that organization as a whole, there is nobody, right? You are a part of the organization. You, your colleagues, your manager, your boss, your VP, your AVPs, your directors, everybody is a part of the organization. Now, having a common, just think in this way, okay? The way you think might be the best way, and it is actually the best way. But probably how your boss thinks, your colleague thinks, your director thinks, your project manager, your program manager, your CXOs think might not be the same because people are different. Okay, so to get structured picture of everything your organization is capable to do is something that you can foresee, but probably not everybody could foresee. There are so many independent systems which are like run by several departments, and people are not even aware of its capabilities. So some capabilities like procurement, customer service, product development, sometimes they work in silos also. You do not even know what they are being for, what they are being used for, what is their capability, why is it being used, how can you also leverage that application. Suppose you are using something for the same capability, and if you have access to that tool, you can probably set up your own database and use that application, which will help you in reducing the licensing cost for your own application that you have been using as a duplicate for a long time. So all these things will matter a lot once you have a complete picture, a structured picture of everything. Okay, so yeah, once you have it, basically you can overlay the things on it, and this is where it gets very powerful. You can use the heat maps, which the capabilities are support. Do you guys know what heat map is? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, you know heat maps, right? Okay, yeah. So you can get a heat map of which capabilities are supported by healthy applications versus the capabilities supported by the failing ones. Okay, you can show where you have overinvested and where you have dangerously under supported, I would say. Okay, it will show you all these things. You can tie investment decisions directly to capabilities that matter strategically. Get this point very right. Investment decisions directly to capabilities. Okay. So you are investing only on places where your capabilities are mattering strategically. This becomes a single most effective way to have an investment conversation with business leaders because it is framed in their language, capabilities, not IT's language, like applications what you have. That is why the capability mapping sits at the heart of our strategic EA. If you remember this diagram, this capabilities was right after the strategic objectives, right? Strategic objective is as I said, objective of the organization. That is the long-term goal or wish or dream of the top level bosses. Okay. Just after that, it comes the capabilities. Okay. That is the reason why. Okay. So the business capability mapping is actually paramount. Okay. Now, if I pull all the 7 together, notice that they're in the so notice that they range from the very tactical to cost focus, rationalization, obsolescence management, and through the transformational modernization, M&A integration, ERP transformation, all this sustainability, capability mapping, the whole spectrum is actually deliberate. It means that SAP LeanIX is not a one-trick tool. Okay, it serves the urgent cost-saving need that gets it funded in year 1 and strategic decision making that keeps it central. Basically keeps it in central for years after. Okay, it's a long-term planning that you do with SAP LeanIX. And here's a very practical advice for any of you who would be implementing this. Almost every successful LeanIX program starts with 1 or 2 of these use cases, usually rationalization and ERP transformation. These are the main use cases that you will generally use, as I said, which proves fast, which gives you a proven value very fast, and then we can expand into others. Don't try to boil the ocean. It is not possible to do everything together. So never, once you get access to LeanIX in your company, not this training one, after the training anyways you'll know what to do, but once you actually use LeanIX in your organization, never try to boil the ocean. You will never be able to do that. Okay, so never try to do all the 7 at once. Start with small. I would suggest rationalization and ERP transformation are not the easiest one, I would say. They're not the easy, but they're the most common ones that are being done, which gives you a very, basically value proposition very fast. This is a very nice output, or, you can actually showcase your ability very fast in doing that. Okay. And so basically you land into one, show the win, and then earn the right to do more. That is the target. Okay. That sequencing discipline is one of the biggest predictors of whether a program succeeds. If you do not do it in a sequence, you might actually, because I tell you, somebody was saying that he has done S4 HANA migration, right? And as I just said, after that, the data migration was one of the key challenges. Here also, getting the data into LeanIX is a big challenge, is a very, very big challenge, because you have easy integrations with ServiceNow, CMDB, Colibra, SAP Signavio, and you can use Excel sheets also to get the data. But when you do that, you have to know what data you need, what data you have to put, what is the format, what is the structure, and doing these things is a uphill task, I will tell you. Okay, but trust me, once you do this, once your data is inside, this tool is a wonderful tool to use. Okay, so everywhere data integration is always, so basically you should have a master data management team. You should have an MDM architect who will be helping you in this case. If you do not have that kind of a help, you guys are all 16, 17 years at least on average, and more than 20 years also some. So you know how to handle data. You have done these exercises. So once you are able to migrate the data into SAP LeanIX, I would say the world is yours. You can actually do whatever kind of analytics, analysis, transformations you can actually do with this. Everything will be at the, you'll be on top of all these things. You'll have all the, things in mind.
I was asking, like, these are maybe more relevant or more in occurrence, like you said, transformation and rationalization. Will we be able to see tool, means maybe a dummy examples how we are using LeanIX tools against these examples?
See, I would say the demo tool that we have that has limited data because SAP does not give complete. The problem is, as I was saying, the data is paramount here. So data has to be correctly present in the system. Okay, so once you have the right data, I will actually have to see what kind of data comes in from SAP.
Even with the smallest data, so that we have an idea, like if it's going to be a transformation, this is the way. Because in my project, it's going to come. I have not done this transformation, but it's going to come this year.
I mean, we will try.
Example will also help.
Yes, we'll try to do a small kind of transformation with the small set of data. We'll see. Probably it might not result in a very big benefits in terms of thing, but at least you will know what is the process to use the data for transformation. Yes, that we can do.
Sure.
Yes. I was thinking that way that the data will be very less. I believe hardly 100 or maybe 200 records for each. So showing a complete transformation with 100 rows will be very difficult. But again, yeah. I mean, I can show you the way how it is being done. That is fine. Yes,
sure.
We can do that.
I had one question on the business capability mapping. When we say there is a high possibility that because we are getting these capabilities listed down by talking to the business folks and probably the functional guys, right? But is there a checklist which LeanIX provides where, because if something is missed, it can have a big impact later on. So is there, LeanIX has a capability of providing a checklist where you say that everything is taken care? Just from a completeness point of view.
Can you just repeat? Like I probably not able to get that. I mean, you want a checklist of questions that you're going to ask, or?
No, checklist where you say, okay, in your order fulfillment A, B, C, D, have you discussed that? Have you made sure that these capabilities are mapped?
This is very specific to your particular purpose. I don't think we have a checklist of capabilities as such for a particular use case, right?
No, when we are doing this this is at the highest level, right? Your business capability mapping. And if we miss something from the business side and we discover it after your entire strategy is made that one capability has been missed by the business, then your whole strategy may have to be relooked. So how do we ensure that every capability has been taken into account? So LeanIX, does it provide like a checklist as in saying from your
So I would say when you use LeanIX, okay, so you have a structured workflow. Okay, so first you have to add data, and as I was saying, once you have the data, right, then based on that you can take decisions. But checklist, I probably have to check. Because you structure your data in such a way in LeanIX that these things will anyways become evident that what you need. You will know what you need, what you don't need. Okay. So maybe, okay, it is better, Vivek, if you park this question also when I show you the demo, then probably in the front end, let's have a look whether this thing can be handled. But as far as I know, there is no standard checklist that is possible because there could be so many use cases, right? I mean, I don't know whether.
But you're understanding my point, right? If something is missed in that initial discussions and initial thing, then and we later discover when we are in the final stage that we forgot one capability.
If you have this data right for the capabilities, once you insert the data for the capabilities, if you have it right, there will be nothing missed anyways. You have a set of structured data that you should be inputting for the business capabilities, right? If you have that straight data right, without missing any column or anything, your I would say your analysis would not be a problem. I mean, see, for everything, like for applications, capabilities, IT components, you have to import the data in a structured format. Okay, so once you import the data for the capabilities in a structured format, you will definitely, have the complete metadata inside LeanIX, and you can, proceed. Let me show you. I'll open the SAP LeanIX instance. We'll take your questions first. Okay, let me see if there is something that we can have there, but most likely I got your point actually, because if your analysis is wrong initially, then your entire thing will go wrong. That's what you're saying, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So let's see that. Okay. So let me open SAP LeanIX instance once. Let me show you how it looks, and just give me one moment. I'm logging in. Your question, yeah, that first one that you asked.
Sure.
So share screen. So this is the first screen of LeanIX. Okay, once you log in, this is what you see. Okay, you have the dashboards. You have some predefined dashboards, some user-defined dashboards. Nothing is there right now because there is no data, as I said. SAP is putting the data in. So this is just a demo instance given to me only. Okay, now you have something called inventory. So in LeanIX, everything starts with one thing, which is called fact sheet. I will cover that in the theory, I think in the class, I believe it is there. But before I do that, let me show you so that you can relate once I do that. So a fact sheet is basically, you can say, as a name implies, it's a fact, it's a collection of facts. Fact is information, right? It's an information collection sheet. So you just go to LeanIX, you select so you click on new fact sheet. Let me show you. Now I give a fact sheet name as maybe say TCS test fact sheet. Okay, so you can have recommendations and all these things. We'll not take that. We'll continue without recommendation. Now it will ask for a fact sheet type. That what is this fact sheet for? Why is it used? What kind of data it will capture? What is the purpose of having this fact sheet? So you want to capture something, you can if you want to capture application level data, you select application. If you want to select interface level data, you select interface. Let's go with application. Okay, so now you have to give the business owner name. Okay, so maybe I'll go with Vivek's question. I will select capability. Capability is what you asked, right, Vivek?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's take capability. Okay, create and open. So if you see, TCS fact sheet has created. Okay, so now you open this. It is anyways opened here. You can see here. I just did it. So 16% means it is 16% full. It doesn't have the complete information. So now your question was, is there a proper standard checklist that is available to collect all the relevant information which could be collected at the beginning, so that end of the day there is no gaps, like there is nothing missing, so that our analysis goes on right? Is that the summary, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there is no checklist as such, but what you have is all these fields. If you see name and description, you can edit, of course, you can put an alias, you can put a description, you can put an external reference ID, you can put a domain, if you have a domain, corporate, customer, product, services, you can define domains also. You can do all these things. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, I'll cancel this. Okay, so first is the
I am chipping here. So I have seen that SAP reference ID. So can you please explain what is that SAP? What is the meaning SAP reference ID?
So if you're connecting with any SAP, so basically if it is connected to any other SAP instances externally. So if you have any, say Signavio, okay. So suppose in Signavio you have a particular thing defined. Okay, now you have to give a reference here, so that once you do any kind of alterations or moderate, any kind of changes, you have to keep in mind that there is a linked not dependency, I would say directly, but there is a linked reference to an external application. So whatever you do here must also be incorporated there. There is no direct integration with there. If you do any changes, it won't be reflected there directly, but you have to have a reference that suppose you change something here, it would give you a reference that it is already linked to something, and you have to do the similar changes there as well. Okay, this is just for linking, basically, something like, if you I mean, if I can give an example, I'm not having anything top of my mind, but okay, let's take you can tell me in Signavio. You tell me what kind of domains you have. Give me one domain, I can probably relate and tell you. I mean, anybody?
For example, that Cloud ALM. So Cloud ALM, we have few test scenarios and everything are there. So
yes.
then,
yeah. So you have some unique identifier for that. Of course, right? Because you have to identify it uniquely, right? So if you have a
project name in Cloud ALM, we can define as a project name.
Project name, yeah, application lifecycle, yeah, correct. So you can put the project name here, and when you are defining this fact sheet, it indicates that this capability is directly linked to that, and any decisions that you take on behalf of or not on behalf of in SAP LeanIX, okay, you have to refer back to that particular project ID in Signavio or any external things for that matter. This is basically to let you know that there is a dependency with an external thing. That's it. This is just for your information that there is a dependency. If you want to link it, you can put a link. This is not mandatory as of now, but again, if there is something that you are importing data from, capability data from, say, ServiceNow or maybe for any other external instances for that matter, you can put these references so that it is tied up in that way. But changing something here will not directly impact there. There is no direct integration. Note this point. Okay.
So just for example, for my case, if it is a Cloud ALM, if I share the project name, so whatever changes I have done in the fact sheet, exactly that, for example, few part is in our Cloud ALM. So what is the reference that we can change?
Yes, it is for reference. Yes. It's just to let you know that there is a interrelated, application elsewhere. Okay.
But the changing something here may impact. If suppose this data is being used by, let's say, another application, and you give it a reference ID here, and you change it, and you map it to another application which is using this data, and let's say you name it ABC123, and then you change it to XYZ456. Then the application which is referring LeanIX will not be able to fetch the data, right? Because they say that
while doing the integration, it will fail.
Okay.
While doing the integration, it will fail. Once the integration is over, you can change it. But it is always advisable that whatever you see, this is not a mandatory field, as you can see. Okay. But whatever you put it, you have to ensure that you maintain it and remember it. Because once you are putting in your reports, see, there is something on reports also. You can create reports here. So, oops, sorry, I think I clicked it. I'll go back to the fact sheet. But once you go to the report, you can make sure that you put this field so that comes as a reference for you. Okay, that is not a very important thing in this overall matter, to be honest. Okay. See, it would have been very important if it was a situation that the data would have resided in your SAP instances or any other instance for that matter, and you are directly fetching the data to create the reports or analysis here, but not locally storing the data in LeanIX. Okay, then any changes to that and other things would have impacted. But since you are already dumping the things here in the LeanIX format, so it is not that much of a concern. Is that clear? Hello?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, okay. So now you have created a fact sheet. Okay. So now you go here, you edit the name description, as I just said, you give these details, you can save and click next. Now you provide the maturity level. Okay. So you can select the maturity level. So there are various levels that are, there. So you can see a small definition here, but there is a documentation also available. We'll be sharing that, in due course of time. Okay. So this, so this is the current maturity. This is the target maturity. So suppose your current maturity is level 1, okay, which is, You just read it. The processes are very largely, manual and inconsistent. Success often depends on individual heroics. So suppose there is a good resource working in the current, application. He's doing well. That's why it is surviving. Else it would have failed. Now, target maturity is resource independent. You want to make it the processes are just process automated and measured for success. Automated means it is or I think the 5 is the highest, right? Yeah, correct. Optimized. So basically, it is independent of anybody. You want to reach that kind of a level. Okay, and how much importance is this for you? How do you value this? Okay, so you take it as a innovation, you take it as a differentiation, or you take it as a commodity. It depends on you. So as I was telling you, see, the reason why I was going to the theory first is that unless you understand these things, you probably won't be able to select the right values, correct? I mean, see, using this tool is very easy. These days, no tools are built for complicated situations or complicated things, build in a complicated manner. Everything is becoming so easy. Even AI has also become so easy. You just give a prompt, you'll get the output. You do not know what is the deep architecture that is behind that. What are the neural networks there? What kind of logic and what is the data processing, data retrieving mechanisms they are there? Okay, it's a very big structure behind. But in the front end, as a user, you are just so that's the reason why every common people are using AI these days, right? Same for these tools also. They should not make the tools so much complicated. It is very easy to use, but in fact, not like while using it, you should actually know what are the options that you have to give, what are the things that you have to select. That is why the theory is important. So if you have this commodity theory and differentiation, these differentiation and innovation, these are the three options that you have here. Okay, it depending on your criteria, you can select this. So I think, Vivek, going by your question, you are having these can be considered as a checklist, as in the steps gradually that if you should fill this properly, you can get your data right. Yeah, somebody was asking something.
No, my thing was more how do we remove the one is it's purely human dependent, right? If people don't put in all the capabilities here, we may miss one thing. So I just want to check if there something which is data driven, or is there
good question. Yeah, so basically you're very right that at this stage we are still at a human level, because it is the human who's taking the decisions as an EA. Okay, how do you clarify this? And as an EA, you will reach out to for a particular capability, you do not manage that, right? You have to go to your boss, or that particular person who's a business leader, or from the leadership team. You go there, ask him that what is the current maturity. For current maturity, you can get it from the project managers or the program managers. But what is the target maturity? You have to go to the leadership and ask them what kind of So you cannot have automated intervention here. This has to be human. If this is automated, there could be some problems. However, there are so many AI features that are being introduced in SAP LeanIX, which I probably will try to cover a bit, which is not a part of this, I think, curriculum, but I'll still check. But I can anyways cover it at the last, But those are mostly into a different thing, not decision making, because this is still human. Okay. But just try to understand, how do you want to automatically decide the target maturity for this? This has to be human, right?
No, my question was not about this current maturity and target maturity. My question was about listing the different capabilities in itself. Like, for example, you say you have a order fulfillment, you have your invoice matching, you have your invoice clearing process. So those are all capabilities, right? So in those capabilities, if we say, let's say we forget invoice matching, right? That's one of the critical capabilities if that is missed by the business folks, and then later we design a solution without that in mind, and later we get to know that okay, this capability is not supported by our application, the application we have selected. Just giving an example, right?
Yeah, got it. See, so, as an EA, so I was telling you, right? The capabilities could be like, say, capabilities should be not be in the level of invoice matching and all, but let me correct you here. It can be level of, say, customer service, product development, procurement at a higher level. Okay.
Yeah.
So So in invoice matching is a transaction level, capabilities at a higher level. If you remember the slide which I was showing, after the strategic objective, the business capabilities were existing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, your management or your company's super bosses, who was managing this. Let me go back to the slide. This place, this strategic objective, this is okay. Sorry, I think I have to use the highlighter. So strategic objective is something which your super bosses has already devised, and they have filled up a long-term plan, LTP, what we call it. Okay, there's a long-term plan for every company, LTP. Okay, so in the LTP, it is clearly defined what the objectives are. Okay, now to achieve those objectives, you need to measure what are the capabilities that you want and what you have. That list has to be vetted by this person who has designed the long-term planning. So it's a loop. So you cannot miss it. If it is missed, it means your boss has actually not informed. And how will you track that? Let me go back here. There is something called surveys. You reach out to your boss via survey. Okay, you can design a survey. I'll come to that. I'll come to these steps one by one. Just have a look first. Okay. So this is the, so yeah. So you select the maturity and other thing, target maturity and strategic importance. And then once you do this, I'm not saving anything, or let's do one thing. Let's save something. You want to reach from level 1 to level 5. Yeah.
Like similar to the earlier question, like who will be the stakeholder to decide what kind of strategic importance we need? Like how to decide on the commodity or differentiation or innovation? Because these decisions will matter, right?
Whoever designs the LTP, I think this, one second, this color is bit, yeah. So whoever designs the LTP, okay, your organization has a LTP, right? It has to have. Whoever is the person who has signed off the LTP is the person responsible for designing the strategic objectives.
So different defined stakeholders are there, right?
Sorry?
So, I mean, stakeholders are there for each selection we do in LeanIX, right? Like who will be deciding what?
No. Okay, stakeholders are there in LeanIX for who will be deciding what means? I didn't get your question.
Means who will decide, like what is the target maturity? Who will decide what is the strategic importance we have to choose? These small decisions.
That is what I'm saying. See, forget the LeanIX screen for now. Forget this completely now. Go with the very first thing. You have your strategic objectives of your company defined. Who has defined this? It could be your CIO. Mostly it is the CIO because he is the Chief Information Officer. Okay. It could be your VP of IT also. Okay. Different organizations have the different terms. Okay. So it is so your CIO, and it could be your CIO staff also. Basically, it could be a team of, CIO has his own team who makes the strategic decisions. That is fine. On behalf of them, he can either sign, or there could be 2 to 3 people who can actually sign off the LTP. But whoever has designed this LTP is the person responsible for the strategic objectives. Because you cannot say that TCS will, by 2026 November, it will be an IT focused company. You cannot take that. I mean, you cannot say that, take the decision, right? You're an employee. You can wish that TCS become that, but you might not be in the right, or might not have the right authority to think like that. Okay. I mean, you have right to think like that, but you authority to implement that, basically. Yeah. So there is a person sitting on the top who takes the decision, and he signs off the LTP, long-term plan. He is a signature here. He is the, you guys have worked on agile processes, right? You know what is a product owner and other things, right? So you can see he's a business owner for this entire initiative. He's the sponsor, not the owner, I would say sponsor of the entire objective. Okay. So now as an EA, because since EA encompasses all these tasks, as you see enterprise architecture here, okay. So as an EA, you are direct. That is what I'm saying. You directly report to these people. You go and ask him, what is your current state? I mean, you don't have ask him the current state. Current state, you can ask the project managers or the program managers, okay. But you have to go and ask him that what is your target maturity? Do you want a fully optimized system? Because see, whatever he says or whatever is there in the LTP has to be justified by logic. Okay. Suppose you are at system 1, level 1, and you expect you to be, the entire company to be optimized at level 5 within 2 months. It is practically not possible. With the employee count of I think 600,000 that you guys have, close to or whatever, plus minus. Yeah, you cannot achieve that level in 2 months. So it has to be either the second level 2 or level 3, at least in the first 5-6 months, and then gradually move ahead. So these decisions he has to take and he has to tell you. Okay, you as an EA, you captured this. There is no automated way of doing it. It is absolutely human. And how you get the current maturity, you can get it from your, project managers and your program managers, delivery managers, etc. Okay. So once you do this, is there any kind of a questions here? Because this is very important, guys. You have to understand that who are your right stakeholders. Your reporting stakeholder, I mean reporting person is your CXO, CIO, or probably, or VP IT or something like that. But you're still working with the project managers at the ground level to get the current maturity, many other things. I'll come to that one by one. Is there any questions? Okay, this is clear. So strategic importance. So how do you, what is the strategic importance for this initiative? Is it for innovation? Is it for differentiation, or is it for commodity? Okay, so you can define that. So once you have done that, let me define that. Let's see. I don't think it will be charged to them. So let me save this. You can give a description to the maturity also. Like, you can say that align with the long-term planning. Okay. So save this. So this gives you a maturity. Okay. Now AI potential assessment. This is a new feature that is added. So you can have a AI. So does your capability also has a AI potential? Okay. So you can select that there is no potential for LLM in this capability at this time. Okay. Evaluate how LLM can help to streamline the process. Consider how LLM can improve interaction with the users. So basically, suppose this capability needs directly interacting with the users or somebody, so can you create an assist program? Can you create a chatbot or something? All these things are present here. Now, potential transformation, this is the highest level basically. So you can select. So let's select something moderate. Okay, 2, then save. Okay, life cycle. So this is, we were discussing something about end of life and other things, right? So see, all these things are there in the slide. I didn't cover it because I just wanted to show you here, but these will be anyways covered. So life cycle, as the name suggests, what is the life cycle of this particular capability? You have the phases here. Okay, so if it is plan, is it a part of our capability roadmap? Phase in means, are there any defined, the needs are there in the defined phase. Active means must be supported. Phase out means, plan to be phased out very soon. It's a capability that we are probably already using it for a long time, or you have introduced it temporarily and we are going to phase it out after some time. And end of life. I don't think any question should be there in your mind with this, because these are very easy to understand. Yeah. So now once you define this, I'll probably leave it, because anyways I have to fill up the dates. So I'll leave it, but you can do this. You go to Relations Explorer. So here, I think no relations has been defined because we didn't relate it there. But successors. So successors and predecessors. So what are successors? So let me add some successor. Okay. So if there is, okay, suppose before you do this capability, there is another capability, say, I think some default was created, test FS cap. Okay, let's take this. Let's see whether it appears here. Yeah, test FS cap. Okay, we'll select this. This is a successor capability for this. Okay, active from and to, it is not by coming by default, because probably in this test FS capability, this, the dates are not defined, like we, didn't define it here, right? Life cycle, it is not defined here. So if this was defined, it probably would have come here, and you can give a description. It's a successor capability. Now save this. Now the next comes the predecessor capability. So successor is basically the one, that will be succeeding this capability, and you can have this capability also, maybe, okay, I don't have any other capability.
Sorry, I have a one question. So successor means in example, for example, any of the product lifecycle example, how we can define as a successor? I mean, who is the successor when?
Yes. I will tell you. So suppose you have capabilities like procurement and product development. Okay. So do you think that product can be developed without procurement done?
No.
Yes. So basically, the capability for procurement has to exist before the product development capability is there. Okay. And so in this case, the predecessor for product development capability is procurement, and the successor for product development capability is customer service. Because anyways, once you're developing the product, you will pass it to the customers, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So if I say, let me open a notepad. So successor, current capability. Oops, sorry, I think it's made a spelling mistake.
Yeah, that's fine. Now we can understand it. Even.
So so it is product development. Okay. So before that, you have the predecessor capability of procurement, and you have a successor capability of customer service. Is it clear now?
Yeah. This
is the cycle basically. Okay.
Okay.
So now again, it depends case to case. Not every capability must have a predecessor or a successor. Okay. It depends on the capability that you're trying to build. So that's why if you see, these fields are optional. Where is it? Yeah. So this is optional field. These are not mandatory fields. Okay. Is it clear? Successor, predecessor?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, fact sheets might have parents also. There's a parent fact sheet, as in, if I can give an example, you have a capability of, okay, so you can have a child capability spawning out of a parent capability. Okay, which essentially means that a child capability can only exist when there is a parent capability defined. So parent capability defined is that, so every say for the AI native program, AI focused program initiative for the company. Okay. Now, if I tell you that the capability is that you define a capability that every human resource in the organization should be certified with any certification, generative AI leader certification from Google, something like that, AWS certification or something from AWS certified AI professional. Okay, so or maybe any for that matter, anything, any certification, AI certification is mandatory. Okay, that is a capability that you have defined, that your 30% of your staff will be, in your long-term plan, it is mandatory 30% of your staff will be certified with AI capability before 31st of December 2026. Okay. Now, once you put that in your long-term plan, when you design a fact sheet for this capability to achieve, before that there's a parent capability that your company must have ongoing license with AWS or partnership with AWS or Google to give these certifications for free. Because if you do not have that, not many people will be able to do this. Just for the sake of company, because these certifications are costly. It will cost you some $100-$200, whatever. Okay. So once you are planning like that, there has to be a parent that is defined already, and the parent will exist till the time the child will exist till the time the parent is there. Once you remove the parent, the child will die, capability will die. This is just a very layman example, I would say. Probably we can think of more. Maybe I can think over and come. But again, as I said, these are the metadata that you are capturing for a particular initiative that is mentioned in your long-term planning. There are many others. You can have a children. Children is just likewise the opposite of what is it. Yeah. You have the demand management. This is actually important. This is, if you see, every capability should be linked to an application. What is the application that supports this capability? What are the primary or the key applications that provides this kind of a capability? So this is important. Suppose I was talking about a capability of customer service, okay, or maybe product development. Okay, so product development you are doing as a capability. Now, what if this product development is, what are the applications that supports this product development? So for a product to be developed, first you have to have your application instances for your SAP. You have to have a platform. You have to have a coding platform. If you use any other technical code like Python or something, you need to have a VS Code application. You need to have anti-gravity or any other application that you use, or and then for deployment you have to use your GitHub and other applications. So these are the related applications to this particular capability. Okay, you have to define all of them here. So when I say defining all of them here, you don't have to write them here, because there is a fact sheet already for, if I don't know, I have saved it, right? Yeah, I can come back here again. I'll show you. There's a fact sheet for applications also. If we go here, application. So there is an application fact sheet also. So you have to define these applications, and probably the best way is to associate it with the business capability. Okay, I'll show you all of these things. Basically, I think we are too early to come to this, screen. But once you have these applications defined, all it needs is that while you design the capability, you have to just, which one was it? Test capability, this one. Yeah, you can just associate that applications from here. So I think there is one, I think A is application. There is already some test FS created. So let me associate this. I'll show you. Suppose this A is for test FS is for GitHub or something. Yeah. So let's see, you see that it will come here. You just select it. Okay. And active from and until, as I think they didn't define it, else this would have probably come. And support type, it supports or it is leading. So these definitions anyways will be covered in the theory. So that's what I was saying, unless you don't know this theory, you won't be able to select the right options. Okay, you will have all these things in the theory. So functional fit, whether it is unreasonable, insufficient, appropriate, or perfect. Okay, this is kind of self-explanatory that you can understand which one do you select. So let's make it perfect. Okay, and you can put a short description. You can put a
question from my side. So in this, for any capability, like suppose for example, any capability would require multiple applications, like say MS Office and SAP. So do we put that both here as related applications?
Yes, you can add applications, of course. Yes. One capability. Yeah, you can. You can, yeah. So total cost of ownership, suppose it is $1,000, just for example. Okay, you save it. Okay. So now initiatives, you go to There are few more fields also. Why I not seeing that? I think this is not the complete demo instance. There are other fields also that gets captured in the actual live thing. But anyways, we'll go with this as of now. So initiative. So is there any? So initiative basically is another fact sheet that you have here. If you go to inventory, you have. Why I can see only remove all filters. Okay. You see the initiative flag sheets also. See, all these things I have not covered it yet in the theory. That's why probably you are having a lot of questions. So you have business, you know about business capability, you know about application, but you have not seen all these things. That's why once I complete the theory here, you'll be able to know. But just wanted to show you that how it looks like, because I think since somebody was saying that he wants to see, and that will probably suffice the purpose, but it is not actually. You need to know this. That's the reason why I was refraining myself from showing you the screen. But again, it's okay, like to show you in bits and pieces. So initiatives, you have to define the if your fact sheet is defined for initiative, you associate that here and you save it. Okay. So now business context. Okay, what are the business contexts that you want to associate with it? What are the objectives for it? What are the platforms supported? You can add all these things here. Okay, so, and when I say all these things, context, objective, and platform, if you see here, business context, platform is not there, right? Business context is a fact sheet. Platform, I don't think it is there. Yeah, platform is not there. Platform, probably you have to write it there. Yeah. So, but you can anyways fill up as per these are optional fields anyways, these are not too much needed. And now this is a fact sheet of like the fact sheet tab of this fact sheet. Now you go to subscription. Okay, you can add a person's name, who's probably so basically if I type my name, or maybe if I think, you actually have to type the name of the person. I think SAP BTP 35 is the ID that I've used to log in. So you can put that, person's name. It's not that you have to put your own ID. Basically, there has to be defined personas. First, you have to create it. So for any application, as you know, you have to create a user, right? You have to know who the users are. So your boss, your CIO, your project managers, everybody's ID should be here. Okay, so that's the very first part of LeanIX, that you have to start assigning the add the personas, create the roles. So once that is created, so I am just using this one for example, and you can is it an observer or a responsible person? I mean, basically person responsible for it or an observer. You can choose the role, comment, and then click on save. Okay, this is how you do the subscriptions. You can put a comment here. Comment is basically for audit trail, so you can put tested, something like that. You put it here, so it will come as a audit trail here. So you know that who has updated the fact sheets and provided their comments here. Recommendations. You have the recommendations. Probably you can write a recommendation to maintain a high, as I say, then you help to maintain a high quality portfolio data by filling these attributes. These are not needed anyways. If you start filling all these things, probably your case will get diluted, because there are so many things that need to be done in this application. To-dos, if you want to add an action item or a question, you can put a to-do. You have the resources here where you add a resource like a logical diagram, or any kind of artifact that you want to associate with this fact sheet. If you want to do transformations, somebody was asking me about the transformations. I think it was Anshika, right? I think you were asking, or somebody was saying, I don't remember, but yeah, you can do transformations from here. You have the matrix here. You have the surveys. Surveys is basically you can design your own survey, because not every time, suppose your CIO sits in US and you are in India. So for every questions, you don't have to assign have a meeting with him or go and meet him personally. You can assign a survey. You can create a survey and create a first maybe. So you can put a survey saying that put a name, test, survey, next, and you can ask a question. So you can add a fact sheet element, you can put a text input here, you can ask a question that what's your plan for reimbursing the certification cost as per LTP. Okay. Because I was just saying that you need to get certified, right? So that's the aim. You can put a question here. You can put a radio options also. All these things are there available. I'll just delete this for now. So you go next and your survey will be saved. This is your survey, how it looks like, and it will go to your boss. I mean, whoever you are assigning. You can put a subject or email invitation. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You can test a survey here, start test run, and okay, because I didn't give any email ID or didn't fill up these fields. But if you once you are done with this, you can do go live. So this is the usage of the tool. I think let's not dilute the discussions here. This is how you use it. Did it give you a bit of idea that what exactly how it looks like, and what kind of data that you guys need to put in? And did it actually show you the depth of this tool, that what level of data is getting captured? Please confirm yes or no, and provide your feedback also.
Yeah, it was good. I think we got an idea of how this tool looks, and
tool looks. Yes.